Yafa, good to see you. Yafa, Chaplain Sandra Mitchell, good to see you.
See you.
Welcome, welcome, and good evening, everyone. Good evening. I'm Derek Perkinson with the National Action Network, civil rights organization started 31 years ago by our founder and president, Reverend Dr. Al Sharpton. And tonight, it is my pleasure and honor to present to you the National Action Network, NAN Youth Huddle, NAN New York City Chapter, NAN Arts and Culture Committee, and the NAN Performing Activist presents NAN's and Arts and Culture's Chairman Arnold Pinnock's original play, The Peacemaker. This is a stage reading, also known as a stage reading, and is a form of theater without sets or full costumes. The actors who read the scripts may be seated, stand in fixed positions, or incorporate minimal stage movement. So I hope you all enjoy if this is your first time. Tonight's stage reading will be performed by the one and only Dominique Sharpton, as debuting as Coretta Scott King, and Ashley Sharpton as the Black Power Advocate. NAN performing activist Lorenzo Vaughn is Martin Luther King. Cindy is Alberta King, and A. Gregory Harris is the spirit of King who is not at peace and continues to march for justice in the spirit world till his dream of peace and racial equality is realized. And we also welcome Chaplain Sandra Mitchell, who's production manager, and Shanika Powers. So now, without further ado, I bring to you our stage reading in memory and honor of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., who will be celebrating his holiday tomorrow here at the House of Justice. I bring to you The Peacemaker.
Soon and very soon, we are going to see the King. Soon and very soon, we are going to see the King. Soon and very soon, we are going to see the King. Hallelujah, hallelujah, we're going to see the King.
The Peacemaker, a play in 2 acts by Arnold Pinnock. Cast of characters in order of appearance: Martin Luther King Jr., Coretta Scott King, Daddy King, Reverend Samuel Kiles, Ralph Abernathy, Alberta King, Mary Powell, Waitress, Young King, Philip Leonard, congregants and choir members. Theme: the lifetime of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Time: 1930s through 1960s. Act 1. Setting: a basically bare stage with only a few set pieces. A projection screen is placed center stage. Act rise. The voice of Mahalia Jackson is heard singing as voice fades and lights gradually fade up, and the spirit of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. is first heard, then seen humming. He sings, "No Ways Tired." When he becomes aware of the audience, he stops singing to speak as narrator.
Don't feel no waste time. Take me back to where I started from. Nobody told me that the road would be sweeter. I don't believe he brought me this far to leave me. I called a peacemaker, but I am not at peace. For I have seen terrorism as a major form of violence. And I see the children of South Africa crying for help and dying of hunger with racial prejudice consuming the land. I am called Peacemaker, but I am not at peace. This personal struggle was ongoing throughout my mortal life, even from the very beginning of my existence.
Daddy King enters in Alberta.
I don't want to hear now, Alberta. I said I don't want to hear it now, Alberta.
Senior, that boy is my boy is in mama's room crying, his eyes out.
Alberta, not now.
You didn't have to hit him so hard. He's just a baby.
That's all the more reason for me to knock some sense into him now.
You don't know as well, you know as well as I do. That child didn't mean what he said in Sunday school.
I don't care what he meant. The fact is, he said it. That boy stood up in my church and denounced the resurrection of Jesus. Oh, I don't know what's wrong with the boy.
Senior, can't you see the boy is confused? You're putting too much pressure on him.
He's supposed to have pressure on him. He's my son.
And that's supposed to make it right?
What I'm saying is that we have a responsibility to set the example for the rest. Now, you know this yourself, Alberta. Your daddy felt the same way I do.
I know. That's why I know how this boy is feeling right now.
All I want is for the boy to live up to his full potential.
What you mean is you want him to live up to what you want him to be.
I didn't say that.
No, but that's what you mean. I just feel what happened in Sunday school was only something to get your attention.
Well, he'll get all the attention he wants if I hear tell of it again.
All I'm asking for you to do is to sit down with the boy and talk to him like his father and his son should. That's all I'm asking. He comes in the kitchen talking to me all the time.
Well, good, you talking to him. I said all I'm going to say.
That's the problem, King. You're talking at him instead of to him.
All right, honey bunch, ain't no need to cry.
I'm worried about him, King.
I'm worried about him too. I just show it in a different way. And this temper of mine don't help none either.
I know you care about him, but he needs to see that you care. Just talk to him, okay?
Okay, I'll try. You say he's in Mama Williams' room?
Uh-huh. I told Mama to keep an eye on him while I came out here to talk with you.
What's that I smell?
Oh, Lord, my sweet potato pies. We selling dinners at the church tomorrow, and I can't have no burnt pies. You know how they talk. Honey, hurry up and catch Junior before he leaves to play football. He's playing too rough, King. Piling on is what the children say. And talk to him about hitting on AD. They brothers. They shouldn't be fighting like that.
All right.
As Daddy and Alberta exit,
Lord, my pies.
Spirit of King narrates.
I had a problem. I was torn between my respect and love for this man. Now, I had this desperate need for independence, to express myself, so I began to rebel indirectly. He was pressuring me to become a minister and succeed him at Ebenezer, thus keeping the pastorship in the family. I didn't want to do this, and I let it be known that I would not be told what to do, and I would not follow in his footsteps. Indirectly, of course, I had a problem, but I'm not crazy. Seemed I had a lot of anger in me. Well, I would take it out on everybody. While in football, I competed so ferociously that my friends couldn't tell whether I was playing or fighting. I was notorious for piling on, and in basketball, I refused to pass and shot every time I got the ball. Also, I had my share of fights excelling in what we call middle-class combat. I preferred negotiation to fists, but if negotiations failed, I'd say, let's take it to the grass. I could out-wrestle anybody in our little gang. But most memorable in my life was when my voice began to change. It seemed to command attention when I spoke. I discovered something else about my voice. The girls like to hear me talk, and believe me, I couldn't keep my mouth shut. I'd say, your beauty caused the Rubicon to part, and men to meet their Waterloos. And no one could touch me on the dance floor either. Well, I was considered the best jitterbug in Georgia.
He dances a few jitterbug steps.
Ah! It's your turn next. Being I was still a very young man, I went dancing. It was felt that this was unacceptable behavior for a preacher.
Daddy King and Martin, as teenagers, entered.
Martin, look at me when I'm talking to you. Son, don't you know the Baptist doctrine frowns upon public dancing, especially by a preacher?
Daddy, that's only a rule. I don't believe I will not be allowed into heaven because I went dancing.
No 17-year-old child's gonna sit up here and tell me what he believes. You will respect what I say and do what I say.
I can't live the way you want me to. Why is it that I could never do or say anything right? Huh, Daddy? I mean, it's like I've committed some kind of crime.
I don't have to listen to...
Daddy, please, for once in my life, listen to what I have to say. I don't understand.
You will do as I say, and that's the end of it.
As long as I'm giving praises to my true Father, that should be the only doctrine that it takes to serve as a pastor. This is what I believe. Daddy, I am not a child.
Then act like you got some sense and accept responsibility.
Whose responsibility?
You ain't never too grown for me to slap you down.
Daddy, I didn't mean...
Shut up and listen. You was the one who decided to become a pastor. So as a pastor, you will uphold the pride and dignity expected of a pastor.
Daddy, I never wanted to disrespect you.
Oh, you already have. Your conduct reflects me. And until you are under the roof of your own church and your own congregation, you will abide by my rules. No dancing.
Daddy and Martin exit. Spirit of King narrates.
The following Sunday, Daddy King made me stand up before the entire congregation and apologize. This moment stands alone as the most humiliating moment of my life. I attended Morehouse College and finished with a degree in sociology. I had decided to study for a BA in divinity at Crozer Seminary in Pennsylvania. As usual, Daddy had a few words to say.
Martin enters sporting a sharp tweed coat. Daddy enters reading letter.
You wanted to see me, Daddy?
That's a new code, isn't it?
Yes, I got it yesterday. The salesman said it was the finest tweed in the store.
I don't like it. Take it back.
I can't. All sales are fine.
Don't wear that coat in this house.
Daddy, it's more than the coat.
You heard what I said.
You're upset about my going to the seminary.
Son, you don't have to go all the way to Pennsylvania.
I chose Crozer because that's where I wanted to go.
What about the young lady you're leaving behind?
Daddy, I've got to get going.
Son, I'm willing to help take care of her.
I'm not ready for marriage. I just want to get away.
Get away from who? From me?
That's not what I said.
You ingrate.
I have the right to wear what I want to wear. I have the right to choose who I am to marry. I have the right to attend school of my choice.
I tell you what, you just go on to your school and get out of this house before I lose my religion.
As Daddy King exits,
Daddy, stop walking out on me.
lights fade down. down on Martin, who exits stage up on Spirit of King.
Crozier was a cloistered campus located on a hilltop. It was so peaceful. One major thing I liked about Crozier is that the dormitory where I resided was completely landscaped. On Sundays at Crozier, I would sometimes preach at a local church, and I would categorize the young women according to their looks. Now, a lightweight sister was not too good, but a doctor was a knockout. Are there any doctors in this house? I then chose Boston University School of Theology to pursue my PhD. It was at Boston that I enjoyed good food, the opera, and constant companionship.
A choir member enters and passes him. He gives her the eye.
My best friend at Boston was a fellow Morehouse man, Philip Leonard. His daddy was a Baptist minister too, so we had a lot in common. Leonard and I moved in together. He cooked and I washed the dishes.
As Spirit of King takes on role of Martin, voice of Philip Leonard is heard off stage.
Brother Kane, leave those dishes alone and come on and eat. Your pig feet's getting cold.
All right, Leonard. I just have one more pot to clean.
I just got one foot in the pot for you, and it's looking mighty good to me. Oh, I'm debating about cooking up some chitlins tomorrow. I think I'm going big crazy.
Martin becomes Spirit of King and marries.
It was fun for a while, but I soon became bored with bachelor life. So, to correct this problem, I met with Mary Powell, a close married friend of mine, for lunch. If you want to know anything about anybody, ask Mary.
Mary Powell enters as Spirit of King becomes Martin.
King, could you help me with my sweater, please?
Oh, yes, of course. I don't remember you wearing a sweater.
I really enjoyed lunch. I felt almost unmarried.
I'm glad you enjoyed it. Mary, what I want to talk to you about.
You won't believe what happened to me in the ladies' room.
What happened?
Well, I was touching up my makeup in the mirror, and I reached in my purse for my lipstick and started to do my lips when I saw an image in the mirror besides my own. And it was a whole lot lighter, if you get my meaning. She had this look of shock on her face. So I calmly turned around and said, "Excuse me, ma'am, how did you get in here? Don't you know this room is off limits to you people? Now, I understand that when you gotta go, a sister's gotta go, but honey, this is colored restroom, and I'm sure if you take another look in the mirror, you will see that your tan is just not deep enough to pass. King, that woman got out of there so fast, she dropped her sweater. Ain't it nice?"
Mary,
Well, I tried to give it back to her, but she didn't want it. It was contaminated. Yes, honey, and it was contaminated on me.
Mary, I need to talk to you before your bus comes.
Oh, all right, I gotta get dinner ready.
Mary, I'm about to get cynical.
You about to get what?
I'm not happy right now.
Oh, what's wrong, honey?
I hear you talk about your marriage, and frankly, I'm a little jealous.
Well, it's all right, but ain't no need to.
Mary, I'm not finished. What I'm trying to say is that I'm bored with bachelor life.
Well, darling, I'm taking.
I've met a few girls, but none I'm particularly that fond of. Do you happen to know anybody who's nice and attractive?
Well, oh yes, what about Martha Jones?
You mean Martha Jones that dances the jitterbug?
Yes, you know her?
I dated her once, a long time ago.
So?
I'm not looking for a dancer right now. Anybody else?
What about a singer?
I'm serious, Mary.
I am too. Her name is Coretta Scott.
I'm sorry, Mary. What is she like?
Oh, she's a nice girl, and she's really pretty. But I don't think she's right for you.
Why is that?
Well, she doesn't go to church.
She doesn't go to church. What's her phone number?
Now, you can call this main office at this conservatory if you have any problem. Oh, there's my bus. I gotta go.
Put in a good word for her, okay, Mary?
I will. I'll call her. Bye-bye, honey.
She exits. Spirit of King, narrator.
I called her on a cold February evening in 52. Yes, I'd like to speak to Miss Coretta Scott, please. Thank you.
Phone rings. Coretta enters, young and dressed in 50s style.
Watch my room for me, okay, Beth? Hello?
Hello, Coretta Scott.
Yes? Who is this?
This is Martin Luther King Jr.
Who?
This is Martin Luther King Jr.
I'm glad you are. Now, if you would excuse me, I have some work to do.
No, don't hang up. A mutual friend of ours told me about you.
Oh, and who was that?
Mary Powell.
Oh, you're the one.
Yes, my sweet.
My sweet.
I've heard some wonderful things about you.
All good, I hope.
Oh, yes, every Napoleon has his Waterloo. I'm like Napoleon at the Waterloo before your charms.
How can you say that? You haven't seen me yet.
I know I haven't seen you yet, but your reputation has exceeded you. By the way, how's church down there?
I beg your pardon?
How do you comb your hair?
How do I comb my hair? Listen, I have a lot of studying to do.
Look, I really would like to meet you and talk some more. Perhaps we could have lunch tomorrow or something like that.
Really? I don't know.
I have a green Chevy that usually takes me 10 minutes to make the trip from BU, but tomorrow I'll do it in 7.
All right, Mr. King. I would be delighted to meet you for lunch, only if you promise to have me back early. I have a recital to attend.
I promise. I'll see you then. Until we meet. Bye now.
Bye.
She exits. Martin becomes Spirit of King.
We had lunch in an old cafeteria with a cold rain falling outside. I looked over so intently that she became self-conscious. I liked her hair. It was cut in full bangs with a natural curl, and she had a shy, pretty little smile. I could sense a degree of self-esteem. I recall her telling me that she was on a music scholarship at the New England Conservatory and how much she wanted to become a professional singer. I really did like her hair. She was from a small farm just outside of Marion, Alabama. On my way back, I told her that she had everything I ever wanted in a wife. There were only 4 things, and Coretta had them all. Character, intelligence, personality, and beauty. I had to see her again, and I did. That summer, I introduced Coretta to my entire family, and I made it clear to Daddy that I was going to marry Coretta and nobody else. Indirectly, of course.
There's a projection of King's and Coretta's wedding.
Finally, Daddy came around and gave us his blessing. Daddy married Coretta and I on the lawn of her parents' home in June of 53. Now, because there were no bridal suites for people of color in the South, we spent our wedding night in a funeral parlor, which was owned by a friend of Coretta's family. But that night, I was very much alive. Bless God. We then rented a 4-room apartment in Boston and resumed our studies. Coretta was completing work at the Music Conservatory, so I took on some of the household responsibilities.
He becomes Martin, who takes off coat, picks up feather duster, dusts while humming Precious Lord. Loretta inches, dressed in a winter
Take my
coat,
hand,
music books,
lead
and
me
April in hand.
on. Let me
Tiptoes up behind Martin and puts her hands over his eyes.
Not now. My wife hasn't left yet.
Martin!
Hi, it's on you.
Oh, you. Honey, I got this apron for you, so you won't get your pants dirty.
Now, Coretta, you know I can't wear one of them things.
Come on!
Puts it around him.
Don't you look cute? I'm gonna get the camera.
Don't you dare.
Come on, honey.
I'll take it off.
Oh, all right. But keep it on, okay? It will save us on the cleaning bills.
Well, now, you are concerned about expenses.
Of course I am. You like this coat? I just got it.
Coretta, you know we can't afford that.
It was a gift from Mary.
Whoa. Mary Powell?
Yes, so relax.
Well, all I can say is, don't be surprised if some woman walks up to you on the street and claims it. What time do you think you'll be getting back?
You know how my Thursdays go, but it's your night to cook.
That's right, which reminds me, I gotta go to the store.
May I guess the menu?
You may.
Smothered pork chops, cabbage, and pig's feet. Martin, do we have to have pig's feet this Thursday?
I tell you what, I'll just put one foot in the pot for me.
You know, sometimes I think I'm married to Red Fox. What am I gonna do with you?
Oh, I can think of a few things, but I think you'll make it to class.
I just might take you up on that.
Hold on now. Let me get a grip on the situation.
King kisses her passionately with only her school books keeping them from being even closer. The books fall and hit Coretta's toe. She reacts,
What happened?
The book hit my toe.
Hold on, I got you.
picks her up, sits up on the bench, and removes her shoe.
Does it still hurt?
I think it's all right.
King tickles her foot. Slap.
Martin, stop! You know I'm ticklish.
He grabs her. They embrace.
I pray will always be like this.
It will.
Let's watch.
Coretta, it's almost 3 o'clock.
Oh, I gotta go.
Comically gets books from the book.
Coretta, shoot.
Oh, thanks, honey.
She puts on her shoe.
Love you. See you tonight. And remember, no pig's feet for me.
Returns to Spirit of King.
But you know what I could never cook? Catfish. I tell you, I love myself some catfish, but I couldn't keep my hands on one long enough to get it into the pan. As a matter of fact, it was a catfish that first baptized me. And at the time, I didn't even know it. You see, I was just a boy at the time, and I went fishing with a few of my friends. First of all, I was supposed to be at the pond, so the boys kept me covered on the way. All the while, I was thinking of what Daddy would do to me if he ever found out. Well, anyway, as I remember, we caught more insect bites than we caught fish. And suddenly, I felt a tug on my fishing line. I pulled at it, but it was a strong one, so 2 of the boys came over to help me, and we pulled, and up it came. Oh, it's the prettiest catfish I've ever seen. Well, I grabbed at it, but it was slippery. Next thing I know, I'm in the pond fighting for a catfish and my life at the same time. I went down and up 3 times, and every time I would come up, I would cry, Lord Jesus! I don't know what Daddy King would say if I told him that my soul was first saved by a fish. But all in all, whatever I cooked was tasty and cheap at the same time. Like Daddy, I budgeted family expenses with meticulous care.
There's a projection of Dexter Baptist Church.
After finishing my residential requirements at Boston U, I decided to find employment and complete my thesis on the job. Now, several churches expressed an interest, but the firmest offer came from Dexter Avenue Baptist Church. in Montgomery, Alabama.
He puts on church robes.
At first, my sermons tended to be sober and intellectual, like a classroom lecture. But then I came to understand the emotional role of the Negro church. I realized how much we needed this precious sanctuary to vent our frustrations and let ourselves go. Well, the first amen from the congregation would set me to whooping with some old-fashioned fireworks.
Amen.
And I tell you,
Well,
Tell it, doctor.
that any religion that professes to be concerned with the souls of men and isn't concerned with the slums that damn them
Amen, brother.
and the social conditions that cripple them
oh, yes.
is a dry as dust
Well.
religion.
Well,
Religion deals with both heaven and earth,
really?
time and eternity, seeking not only to integrate man with God, but man with man. What a fellowship, what a joy divine, leaning on the everlasting arms. What a blessedness, what a peace of mind, leaning on the everlasting arms.
They exit as two female choir members enter. Child, he preached up on something good this morning.
Did my heart good. Amen. Girl, I just wish you wasn't married, child.
Why is that?
'Cause I would jump on that.
That ain't never stopped you before.
You ain't never lied.
Girl, stop all that talk and sing.
This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Oh, this little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.
Spirit of King.
One good thing about this new location was my newfound relationship with Ralph Abernathy, who was a pastor like myself. Ralph had a kind of wily charm, like a handshaking black belt politician. He called himself the barefoot boy from Marengo County. With my mimicking and his keen sense of humor, we could have given any comedy actor a run for their money. In Ralph, I found a long-awaited spiritual companion. The man would listen to me. Whatever I said, he would listen. He'd really listen. I could tell Ralph things I just couldn't tell Coretta. Although Coretta did release some news that even Ralph's funniest joke couldn't top. I was going to be a father.
Ooh.
Yeah, this was a major blessing because there had been some question as to whether we could have children. Now, I wanted 8, but Coretta suggested we compromise before. I hoped to christen the baby Martin Luther King III, but when the baby was born, it was a beautiful baby girl, Yolanda Denise. And she would be a doctor in any congregation. She was so beautiful. This was one of the most fulfilling moments of my life. I had a beautiful wife and daughter, a congregation I loved with a passion, and a real companion in Ralph Abernathy. I was at peace, but my personal struggle was ongoing, and this I could not change.
becomes Dr. King, who moves to another stage area as if searching for something. Coretta Scott enters.
That was your brother AD on the phone. He wanted to know if you've made up your mind yet.
Coretta, are you sure you haven't seen my Gandhi book?
No, I haven't. You don't have to do it.
Let's see, I happened to be in church, then in the car, then I went to Ralph's house. Let me call Ralph and see if I left it over there.
I already called over there about the book. They don't have it.
Maybe I left it in the baby's room.
Don't go in there making noise. I just put Yolanda to sleep. The book is not there.
I need that book, Coretta. I need it.
Why? You have read that book from cover to cover. I can't count the times I have come in here and found you asleep with the book in your hand. He was just a man.
He was not just a man. Gandhi was non-violent.
I know what he did, and I'm sick to death of hearing about it. Now, you have a decision to make.
I wish this bus thing had never happened. Never happened. They're saying that Mrs. Parks was planted by the NAACP. I don't believe that. What I do believe is that she was planted there by her own personal sense of dignity and self-respect.
Martin, I'm sorry.
It's hard to understand the action of Mrs. Parks unless you know that eventually the cup of endurance runs over and the human personality cries out, I can take it no longer.
Martin, you don't have to.
And Mrs. Parks' refusal to move back was her intrepid affirmation that she had had enough. Coretta, this lady was a victim of both the forces of history and the forces of destiny. And so am I.
Looks like Montgomery has its leader.
You don't sound too happy about it.
It doesn't matter how I feel about it. I gave up thinking a long time ago that I could have you all to myself.
Coretta, I don't want to do this, but I can't say no.
I know you can't. And I don't want you to. That wouldn't be fair.
Nothing is going to happen to me.
How can you say that?
Sounds of baby crying on stage.
Oh, I knew she was going to wake up.
We're not finished talking, Coretta.
What is there left to say?
Coretta, I've got to do it. I can't just walk away.
And I can't walk away from my baby. I think you should call AD. Dinner is in 15 minutes.
Exits. King becomes spirit of king. There's projection of a bus.
The bus boycott ended 13 months after it began. But a reign of terror followed the Supreme Court mandate. City buses were fired upon. A teenage girl was beaten. A pregnant woman was shot. Homes and churches bombed, and the Ku Klux Klan rode. Even though Montgomery was a victory, it was becoming clear to me that there was to be a season of suffering.
Projection out.
We were soon blessed with our second child, a boy, Martin Luther King III. Oh, I was the proudest father in the viewing area.
Times the event.
Oh, excuse me, here, have a cigar. Look at Daddy. That's my boy. Did you see my boy? I had something to do with that. At least I think I did. Oh, that's silly. Look at Daddy. Oh, not that way. Look this way. Excuse me. Look this way. Don't cry. Look at this cigar. Nurse. And could that boy cry? Oh, everybody said, oh, King, with his lungs, he's bound to be a preacher like me. At this point, I came to understand my daddy King. I was his son, and this was my son, and like daddy, I wanted the best for him. Well, all my children, which means sometimes you get a little overprotective.
There is a projection of Mahatma Gandhi.
On a mission of peace, I journeyed to India for a month to study Gandhi's techniques for nonviolence. As a peacemaker, I felt I needed to know more about Gandhi. Coretta came along with me. Well, it was like a second honeymoon. Well, really, our first. A funeral home is not exactly the ideal spot for a honeymoon. So there we were, in the land of Mahatma Gandhi, the land of nonviolence. This put me in a real peaceful mood. I found out just how peaceful when we got back. Coretta had informed me that God had blessed her once again with child. Must have been something in the air over there. This feeling of peacefulness suddenly came to an end when I had to face my congregation with a decision.
Spirit of King becomes Dr. King in the pulpit. Coretta enters, sings, I want Jesus. At the end of the song, King speaks.
For almost 4 years now, I have been trying to do as one man what 5 or 6 people ought to be doing. The strain of being known has made me unable to serve Dexter well, since the demands of the movement have taken me away from Montgomery for extended periods of time. I have come to the conclusion that I can't stop now. History has thrust upon me a responsibility from which I cannot turn away. I have no choice but to free you now.
Become Spirit of King.
I went back to where I started. I went back to Atlanta. I took the position alongside Daddy as co-pastor of Ebenezer. At this point, my Daddy King finally came to accept me and my beliefs. And also, I wanted my family to have the influence of my mother dear. I'll never forget when I was a child, the way Mother dear helped me face the death of my grandmother, Mama Williams. I tell you, at the time, I didn't understand it.
Lights fade down on Spirit of King and fade up on Martin as a youth. He is crying. Alberta King enters dressed in church wear.
Junior, what you doing up here, baby? Everybody's in the car. It's time to go. Mama Williams is with the Lord now. She wouldn't want to see any of her children upset.
I tell Mama.
Now, don't talk like that. Mama died of a heart attack. You had nothing to do with it.
This is the first Sunday that Mama won't be with us at church. I wish I died when I jumped out of that window. Then I could be with her in heaven.
Hush, child. I don't ever want to hear you talk or even think about taking your own life again. Baby, you're just 12 years old. You have everything ahead of you. A chance to make all of your dreams come true in life. To make a change.
If I hadn't gone to the parade, Mama would be with me.
Junior, you going to the parade had nothing to do with Mama's death.
Well, who's gonna play my solo for me?
Oh, my baby, Mama will always be with you, just like she'll always be with me. Mama left this world in the Lord's house, and that's such a blessing. I just pray when the Lord sends his angel for me, I'll be giving him praise.
I love you, Mother dear.
I love you too. I can see why you was Mama's favorite. You know what Mama would want us to do?
What?
She would want us to cook a big Sunday dinner and have a Bible study party afterwards.
I will.
All right, we'll plan it for next Sunday. It means you'll have to stay up and help me.
Oh, I don't care.
I figured you wouldn't.
I can peel potatoes pretty good now.
I don't know. You cut your finger last time.
Voice of Daddy King.
Alberta!
Oh, Lord. That's your father. Go wash your face and come on down to the car. You know know your daddy's in a hurry. He has a meeting with the church deacons before the service.
Yes, Mother dear.
And baby, don't use the show towers. And use the stairs next time, not the window, okay?
Alberta!
King, we coming. Oh, Lord, that man, he's so serious about his religion. Hurry up, Junior, and be sure to grease your face down. Don't come to the car with no white lips, you hear me?
Alberta!
Come on now.
Lights fade down on Alberta and Martin as they exit.
Yes, ma'am.
Up on Spirit of King.
My dear, sweet mother dear, it was becoming very clear to me that I was not going to reach my dream without a fight. Montgomery had only been the beginning when the next major phase of the protest movement began. It was this movement for my black brothers and sisters only. I recall when I was stabbed in the chest while autographing my first book. What was ironic about this was that I was stabbed in the middle of Harlem. While in recovery, the doctor disclosed how close I had come to dying. The letter opener had touched my aorta, the main artery from the heart. If I had sneezed during all those hours of waiting for help, I would have died. I received many messages of sympathy, telegrams from Eisenhower, Nixon, cards and letters from people all over the world, but one letter in particular caught my eye. It read simply, "Dear Dr. King, I am a 9th grade student at the White Plains High School. While it should not matter, I would like to mention that I'm a white girl. I read in the paper of your misfortune and of your suffering, and I read that if you would have sneezed, you would have died. I'm simply writing you to say that I'm so happy that you didn't sneeze."
He puts glasses and letter away.
This moved me greatly. To know that I had made such a positive impact on white Americans as well. But there were still a vast number who felt quite the opposite. And what was boggling to me was that they usually held high-ranking public positions. This had to be defeated before my dream could come true. But my mother dear had prepared me. So being back in Atlanta was really the only form of security I could give my family. But as for me, though the Prince of Peace had consumed my spirit, still I found myself in constant struggle. But I was gaining points against the opposition. I prayed for a victory. I prayed for peace.
Lights slowly fade on the Spirit of King. Amazing Grace. End of Act 1.
Continue.
Act 2. Setting. A basically bare stage with only a few set pieces. A projection screen is placed center stage. At Rise, voices of protesters heard off stage singing "We Shall Overcome" as projections of the civil rights movement are seen on screen. Lights fade up on the Spirit of King.
We shall overcome. We shall overcome. We shall overcome someday. Oh, deep in my had barely settled in Atlanta when newspapers reported startling developments in Greensboro, North Carolina.
Projection of 4 sit-in students.
The time of struggle was at hand. On February 2nd, 1960, 4 students from North Carolina A&T College marched into Woolworth's, sat down at its lunch counter, and refused to leave until they were served. The sit-ins were underway, and long last, Negro students were becoming involved in the struggle. This made me proud. In point of fact, they were attempting to do what SCLC had on its agenda for 1960, to desegregate eating facilities in southern cities.
Projection out.
Not long after this historic event, I received news that a Montgomery grand jury had indicted me on the charge of falsifying my state tax returns. This upset me greatly because the public would think I was guilty. My enemies had previously done everything against me but attack my character and integrity. Though I was not perfect. If I have any virtues, one of which I am most proud was my honesty where money was concerned. I still can't understand how they could have made such a claim. I worked so hard to do everything within the confines of the law. I'll tell you what I wanted to do. What I wanted to do was to find the person who made this false accusation and beat the living. No. As it turned out, there was no need for this type of reaction because, to my surprise, a verdict of not guilty was given in this case of tax fraud. Always I worried that the movement robbed me of time with my children. Yoki, who was 6, and little Marty, who was 4. Our new baby, Dexter Scott, stayed mostly in Coretta's care. I had a problem holding newborn babies. The baby's head always ended up under my armpit. I played with my children intensely, trying to cram days and sometimes weeks. In just a few hours, I told them jokes, I teased, and I tickled. I loved them. Like my parents, I tried to shield the children from racial prejudice, from what it meant to be colored in Dixie.
Coretta enters. Spirit of King becomes Dr. King.
How is she?
She's fine.
I don't think we should have a television in this house.
Martin, that's not the answer, and you know it.
I still can see her tears.
All she really needs is you.
Coretta, isn't it funny that I can sit down and talk to people I don't even know, and yet I can't talk to my own daughter? How can you tell your child that because of the color of her skin, she can't go where she wants to go?
I know, but we've got to tell her. Martin, Funtown is not the only park in Atlanta.
Coretta, Yolanda is going to Funtown.
Martin, Funtown is closed to colored children.
My children are not going to be deprived of anything.
I am tired of hiding the truth. We should have both sat down and told Yolanda about segregation a long time before now. But you were not here.
No.
It's getting so... You're never here.
We've been through this.
The children are not the only ones being deprived.
Don't do this to me, Coretta.
No, Martin, don't you do this to me.
What are you talking about?
I'm talking about our marriage.
What about our marriage?
You really don't know, do you?
No, I don't.
The children need a father, and for God's sake, I need a husband.
Coretta, I am doing all I can to spend more time with you and the children.
It's not good enough.
What else can I do?
I think you know the answer to that already.
Coretta,
No, not now. Yolanda's more important right now.
I'm trying, Coretta.
Don't worry about Yolanda not being able to visit Funtown. What she and this family needs is you.
Coretta.
Please. Have you seen Yolanda's coloring book?
It's outside in the swing. Coretta, I just...
We'll talk later.
Exit. King becomes spirit of king.
I recall Coretta telling me that when I was in the Albany jail in Georgia, Yolanda had been crying for me and wanted me to come home. When Coretta explained that Daddy was in jail so all people might go where they liked, Yoki said, well, good. Tell him to stay in jail until I can go to Funtown. Coretta was 9 months pregnant with our 4th child. The new baby was christened Bernice Aberdeen, Bunny for short, after Mama. Bunny was the last of the 4 out of 8 compromises Coretta and I had made when we were newlyweds.
Looks at watch. There's protection of Malcolm X.
One adversary whom I had great respect for was Malcolm X. Now, I met Malcolm once in Washington, and I thought him to be very articulate with a great concern for the problems we faced as a race. But as I said in Playboy, I wish he would talk less about violence, because violence is not going to solve our problems.
Projection of Lincoln Memorial. Choir heard off stage humming We Shall Overcome.
It was felt by many that I was pushing too far, too fast. This was also the argument reverberated through Congress that summer of '63, which made President Kennedy's Civil Rights Bill increasingly doubtful. So details from a long projected march on Washington was completed. It was elected that the affair take place on August 28th with myself and many other dignitaries, each to give an 8-minute speech. Now, for me, this will be rather difficult since I've been known to be a little long-winded. It was agreed to hold the mass demonstration itself at the Lincoln Memorial, a fitting historic destination.
Looks at watch.
The ceremonies began at 1:30 with the Star-Spangled Banner and was followed by performers and speeches. And I might add that each speech was 8 minutes or less. I know because I timed them. I noticed the crowd getting restless. Then Mahalia Jackson rose to sing.
Actress playing Alberta enters and sings, I've been duped and I've been scorned. At the song's end, she exits with a pause and sound cue as Spirit of King becomes Dr. King.
50 years ago, a great American in whose symbolic shadow we stand today, signed the Emancipation Proclamation. But 100 years later, the Negro still is not free. I have a dream. It is a dream deeply rooted in the American dream. I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal. So that freedom ring from the prodigious hilltops of New Hampshire, that freedom ring from the mighty mountains of New York, that freedom ring from the heightening Alleghenies of Pennsylvania, that freedom ring from the snow-capped Rockies of Colorado, that freedom ring from the curvaceous slopes of California. But not only that, let freedom ring from Stone Mountain of Georgia. Let freedom ring from Lookout Mountain of Tennessee. Let freedom ring from every hill and molehill of Mississippi, from every mountainside. Let freedom ring. And when this happens, when we allow freedom to ring, when we let it ring from every village and every hamlet, from every state and every city, we will be able to speed up that day when all of God's children, black men and white men, Jews and Gentiles, Protestants and Catholics, will be able to join hands and sing in the words of the Negro spiritual, free at last, free at last, thank God Almighty, we're free at last.
End of projection. King becomes spirit of king.
If only it were true. Needless to say, I exceeded the allotted 8-minute time limit.
Lighting projects movie change.
That evening, I entertained a few of my friends in my suite at the Willard. But Coretta was not with me. Now, I have always been a very passionate man. What I did not know was that a hidden microphone was recording the party and what happened after this tape of my personal affairs found its way into the hands of J. Edgar Hoover of the FBI. Now, I loved my wife, and we shared many tender moments together, but my long absences took their toll on me. I surrendered myself to my passionate nature. I needed desperately not just to be free as a man, but to be loved as a man. My life was one of always giving out and never stopping to take. But at night, away from the crowds, I found a way to take in. I am conscious of two Martin Luther Kings. You know, Martin Luther King that people talk about seems to be somebody foreign to me. You know. Each of us have two selves, and the great burden of life is to always keep that higher self, in command. Don't let the lower self take over. And now and then you'll be unfaithful. It's a mixture of human nature. Now, because of the pressures of my work, I checked into St. Joseph's Infirmary in Atlanta. And I was suffering from stomach pains, and I was simply exhausted and needed a few days away. I remember taking a sleeping pill and enjoying the best night's sleep I had in weeks. The next morning, Coretta phoned me. She was so excited. The Associated Press had just reported that I had won the Nobel Peace Prize. Oh, I was ecstatic. Nothing could mean more to me than to be recognized as a world leader of peace. And I believe this was in 1964. Yes, it was. At the time, I was only 35, which made me the youngest recipient in Nobel history. Obviously, I made a fast recovery. We all set out for Norway in the Nobel Prize ceremony. I had an entourage of 26 people, including Coretta, Daddy, Ralph, my brother A.D., and Mother D. The day of the ceremony was one of complete excitement. I tell you, I couldn't get Coretta. I'll never forget it. It seemed I couldn't get Coretta out of the bathroom for nothing.
He becomes Dr. King. Coretta is on stage.
Coretta!
Martin, is that you?
Yeah, it's me. I just went down to Daddy and Mother D's room. Did Ralph call?
No, he didn't. But your sister Christine called.
Oh, what she want?
She just wanted to see how you were holding up.
Well, if she calls again, tell her I'm doing fine. Coretta, will you come out of that bathroom? We just have an hour before the ceremony.
Well, all right. Really, honey, I won't be long. Oh, no.
Coretta enters wearing robe and shower cap. Looks around the stage area.
Now, where is it?
Back!
Oh, Martin.
What is that on your face?
Have you seen my makeup bag?
No, I haven't, but I'll sure help you find it.
Oh, now. You see me with the mud pack on before.
Finds the bag.
Here it is.
That don't look like Georgia mud to me.
Well, it's Norway mud.
Oh, is that so?
That's right. Would you like some Oslo mud on you?
Oh,
She chases him comically until she gets mud on his face.
no.
Then he chases her, playful, and King grabs her and pulls her clothes.
Gotcha!
This facial can't stay on my face too long now. I'll call you Michael.
You call me Michael won't work this time.
I guess not, since Michael King is your real name.
I was a baby when it was changed, so I had nothing to do with it.
You can always change it back.
Well, how about if I change up for a while? One night I'll be Martin, and one night I'll be Michael.
2 men in my life? I'll think about it.
She moves away.
Come back here. I'm in that mood again.
Oh, and what mood is that?
That same mood I was in when we were in the land of Mahatma Gandhi.
Martin, we don't have time. You said it yourself. We just have an hour.
Hugs her from behind.
Oh, I love you, Coretta.
I got a call from J. Edgar Hoover.
I can explain, Coretta.
No, Martin. There's no reason to explain.
Grabs her.
Coretta, please know that I love you.
I know. I love you too.
They comically try to find a way to kiss, so as not to get mud on King's face. Both laugh.
I think your mud pack is ready to come off.
Oh, I'm not supposed to let it dry all the way. I'll tell you what. Why don't you read me your speech while I'm finishing up? All right, dear?
I think that's it. I'll do that. I can't wait for Ralph forever. I bet he's somewhere feeding his face. So here goes. Now listen close now. I am mindful. Hold on for a minute. Let me get in the right frame of mind.
Trumpets are heard, and there is a projection of Nobel Prize Award ceremony as lights fade on Coretta, and King steps up to a microphone.
I am mindful that only yesterday in Birmingham, Alabama, our children crying out for brotherhood were answered with fire hoses, snarling dogs, and even death. I am mindful that only yesterday in Philadelphia, Mississippi, young people seeking to secure the right to vote were brutalized and murdered. Therefore, I must ask why this prize is awarded to a movement which is beleaguered and committed to unrelenting struggle, to a movement which has not won the very peace and brotherhood which is the essence of the Nobel Prize. The tortuous road which was led from Montgomery, Alabama to Oslo bears witness to this truth. After contemplation, I conclude that this award, which I receive on behalf of the movement, is a profound recognition that nonviolence is the answer to the crucial political and moral question of our time. The need for man to overcome oppression and violence, without resorting to violence and oppression. Thank you.
King exits to sound of applause. A female choir member enters from the other side, walks across the stage to where King exited. King re-enters as though coming from the men's room, and he's startled to see her.
Dr. King,
Oh, you startled me. Yes?
I really enjoyed your speech.
Thank you. I'm glad you did.
I just want to shake your hand.
Grabs King,
You really have a way of exciting the crowd.
tries to leave.
I'm glad you were moved by my words.
Oh, yes. I was most definitely moved by your words.
I need to be getting back. My wife may be wondering.
If you need any help with your speech, call me. I'm an excellent typist.
Hands him a note.
I'll keep that in mind.
Yes, you do that.
Exits. King puts notes away in his side pocket. Becomes spirit of King.
On my way back to Atlanta, I stopped off in Washington to visit President Johnson. I urged him to push a voting rights bill without delay, but he was not encouraging. I told myself that we would write a voting rights bill ourselves in the streets of Selma.
As spirit of King becomes Dr. King, the stage goes red. Sounds of violent protest is heard. Images of rioting projected on the screen. Police sirens and flashing lights on stage. Dr. King runs across the stage to escape. He can't. It is unbearable to him. He lets out a scream.
Violence! Stop it! Please!
Becomes spirit of King as noise, lightning, projections fade.
Violence was beginning to emerge in the form of riots. And a new Malcolm X arose in the person of Stokely Carmichael, who used the term Black Power. Mr. Carmichael had instructed his staff that Black Power was to be our war cry for the rest of the campaign. This new slogan I felt was unfortunate because it gave the impression of black supremacy, which I considered just as evil as white supremacy. I didn't know where to go from there.
King sits, head in hands, dejected pose. There's a projection of soldiers in Vietnam. Off stage, the choir sings Motherless Child.
Sometimes I feel like a motherless child. Sometimes I feel like a motherless child. Sometimes I feel like a motherless child. A long way from home. A long way from home.
Spirit of King.
In Vietnam, American planes were turning the land to wreck and ruin, blasting it with bombs. As for the Vietnam War, it was stated to me that peace and civil rights don't mix. Since in life I was a preacher by trade, it should not have been surprising that I had several reasons for bringing Vietnam into the field of my moral vision. There is, at the outset, a very obvious and facile connection between the war in Vietnam and the struggle I and others had been waging in America.
Projection out. He moves into a pool of light.
This political stand I had taken caused much bitterness against me, and it was reported that my popularity was declining. President Johnson considered me an ingrate, and threats upon my life became more prevalent. I was named a traitor to my country and to my race. I needed to get away.
Moves into another pool of light.
I was having problems with my Poor People's Campaign. During an executive staff meeting called at Ebenezer, young Jesse Jackson,
Projection of Jesse Jackson, lighting cigarette.
who had been very successful with his Operation Breadbasket campaign in Chicago, raised objection to my campaign. This I couldn't take. Not after the papers had criticized my intentions, but young Jackson persisted.
Becomes Dr. King, fades on audience, and upset expression.
Jesse! Don't bother me. It may be that you want to carve your own niche in society. Well, go ahead and carve it. But for God's sake, don't bother me.
Becomes Spirit of King.
I felt betrayed. Even though I sense great potential in this young man, he just caught me at a bad time. A bad time.
Becomes Dr. King. Holds a cigarette, repeats segment of a Have a Dream speech. Coretta enters.
I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal.
Martin, for God's sake, stop repeating that speech.
Things are changing, Coretta. I'm losing control.
I can't take this anymore, Martin. I think we should take some time away from each other.
No,
Give me one reason why I should stay.
because you are my wife.
That's not good enough, Martin.
Because I love you.
I believe you once did, but not now.
Coretta, can't you see my world is falling apart?
What about me? What about my world? I remember when we first married. I was so in love with you. I gave up my life, my dreams for you. But now it's not the same. Because I can't help wondering every time you leave this house, who is getting the love I so desperately need?
Coretta, what can I say that I haven't already said?
Don't say it, Martin. Mean it. Just mean it. I had another dream last night.
I have told you, those dreams don't mean anything.
But it was so real this time. We were having dinner. Yolanda wasn't feeling well for some reason, so I took her upstairs to her room. You were telling the children a joke. Then I heard voices moving to the kitchen. The children kept wanting you to play that game, the one where they jumped down from the refrigerator into your arms. It was an unusually good day. Suddenly, I hear a gunshot. I hear Bunny screaming and Marty crying. Yolanda runs down the stairs. Mommy, she screams, Daddy's been shot. Daddy's been shot. And I can't move. I can't move. The next thing I know, I'm in the kitchen. I see the children crying. I see blood all over the floor. And you lying there with a bullet hole in your head.
Puts out cigarette.
Coretta, it was just a dream.
It was real this time. Martin, I don't want you to go to Memphis.
I've got to go.
You don't have to. You can stay here with me and the children. Be a family again.
I can't do that. Coretta, I can't do that. It's a bad time.
Well, Don't expect me or the children to be here when you get back.
You won't leave me. You can't leave me.
Maybe I can't, but you'll leave me, and there's nothing I can do.
She exits. There is a projection of King with Ralph Abernathy as King becomes spirit of King.
Ralph and I arrived in Memphis to work more on the campaign. We both checked into room 306 of the Rain Motel. The room overlooked the courtyard parking lot and a covered swimming pool. By late afternoon, I was in one of my moods again. I had to address a rally at Mason Temple, but I didn't want to go. There was a tornado watch and heavy rain was forecast. I felt that only a few people would turn out because of the weather. Anyway, I was too tired to go out, so I sent Ralph to speak in my place. I tried to relax, but the phone rang. It was Ralph. 2,000 people were at the temple, and they wanted to see me. I still didn't want to go, but soon I found myself dressed and on my way. As I mounted the speaking platform, a nervousness came over me. I had not fully prepared for this, but there was Ralph.
Spirit of King becomes Dr. King as voice off stage.
Ladies and gentlemen, the great Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.
There's applause and action. Ralph Abernathy. He remains to side as King steps up to the podium and takes the mic.
Thank you very kindly, my friends. As I listened to Ralph Abernathy and his eloquent and generous introduction, and then thought about myself, I wondered who he was talking about. It's always good to have your closest friend and associate to say something good about you. And Ralph Abernathy is the best friend that I have in the world. I'm delighted to see each of you here tonight in spite of a storm warning. You reveal that you are determined to go on anyhow. Something is happening in Memphis. Something is happening in our world. Let us rise up tonight with a greater readiness. Let us stand with a greater determination, and let us move on. In these powerful days, these days of challenge, to make America what it ought to be. And we have an opportunity to make America a better nation. And I want to thank God for allowing me to be here with you. Now, it doesn't matter now. It really doesn't matter what happens now. I left Alabama this morning, and as we got started on the plane, there were 6 of us. The pilot said over the public address system, "We are sorry for the delay, but we have Dr. Martin Luther King on the plane, and to be sure that all the bags were checked, and to be sure that nothing would be wrong with the plane, we had to check out everything carefully, and we had the plane protected and guarded all night." And then I got to Memphis, and someone began to say the threats or talk about the threats that were out. what would happen to me from some of our sick white brothers. Well, I don't know what will happen now. We've got some difficult days ahead, but it doesn't matter with me now because I've been to the mountaintop. And I don't mind. Like anybody, I would like to live a long life. Longevity has its place. But I'm not concerned about that now. I just want to do God's will. And He's allowed me to go up to the mountain. And I've looked over and I've seen the promised land. I may not get there with you, but I want you to know tonight that we as a people will get to the promised land. And I'm not worried about anything. I'm not fearing any man. My eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord.
There is applause. King steps down, becomes spirit of king.
This moment proved to be therapeutic. I felt more at ease. That same night, I got word that my brother, A.D., was in town and staying at the same hotel. we stayed up all night talking. Over the years, we had grown to be very close. But still, he would never let me forget how I used to beat on him when we were younger. I ain't mean nothing by it. He was just there when I needed to hit something. The next day, my agenda was set. For lunch, Ralph and I had catfish, which I still couldn't cook, let alone catch. But the interesting thing about this was that the waitress arrived with the catfish all on one plate. Now, Ralph was a little irritated, but it didn't matter too much to me.
Becomes Dr. King as waitress enters.
Miss, I'm sorry how Mr. Abernathy there reacted, but he's always that way when it comes to food.
I didn't mean to act that way. I did either, Dr. King. I just get over emotional sometimes. I wanted to give you the best service possible, and I messed it up.
Young lady, your willingness to serve is the most important thing.
May I tell you something, Dr. King?
Yes, of course.
Well, oh, there's my elevator. Maybe some other time.
No, please, tell me.
Well, okay. At first, I didn't care too much for your nonviolent approach. Black power was my pride. I just looked at you as another time. But something happened to change this. I was one of the protesters on the streets of Memphis when the riot broke out and everybody was breaking glass and looting stores. And I have to admit, I was one of the looters. But when I saw your face, I dropped what I had. And somebody else ran off with it. But I didn't care. What I want to tell you is that I saw your face while all this was going on. Your expression was one of love and disappointment. At the time, I didn't understand it, but now I do. All you ever wanted was for people to love each other. It was like all your service was in vain. I have realized you were committed, but now it became clear to me that commitment meant service. And because of your willingness to serve, I was able to eat in public places, sit any place on the bus I wanted, and go anywhere I wanted to go. God bless you, Dr. King.
He's the elevator.
I can't miss this one. I'm going to finish my service to you by bringing another plate for your fish.
Miss?
I'm Debbie.
Debbie, that's all right. We can eat out of the same plate.
Oh, good. Because my supervisor will kill me if he found out. I love you, Dr. King.
I love you too.
Bye.
He exits. King becomes spirit of Dr. King.
This made me feel good to know that I had helped somebody. After lunch, Ralph laid down for a nap, looking like a stuffed happy hog. And I went down to A.D.'s room and we called Mother Dear. Mother Dear was always so happy when A.D. and I were together. Around around 4 p.m., I phoned Ralph and woke him up. He had gotten word that for dinner, we were all going to Reverend Samuel Kyles' home. And one thing about Sam, he knew how to entertain a house guest. The menu included prime rib roast, chitlins, greens, black-eyed peas, and pig's feet. Oh, my favorite foods. Around 5:30 p.m., Kyles arrived, announcing to us it was time to go.
Becomes Dr. King as Reverend Samuel Kyles enters.
All right, everybody, let's go. I know you're hungry. I knew you wasn't going to be ready. You're going to be late to your own funeral.
Carls, how you doing? I'll be ready in a minute. Ralph, Carls is here. Who let you in?
Well, the door was unlocked, so I just walked in. What's Ralph doing?
I didn't know that door was unlocked. Did
King!
you lock it?
King!
What? Oh, Ralph's in the bathroom.
What's wrong with you?
Nothing's wrong with me. I just don't like the door being open for anybody to walk in here.
King, you're taking those threats too seriously now.
Oh, come on, man. That's not bothering me after all these years.
King, you know as well as I.
Let's change the subject, all right? Carls, I picked out this tie for tonight. Does it look okay?
It looks fine to me.
Let me ask Ralph. I'd better wait. Ralph is wrestling with a catfish up in there.
Man, you the craziest.
Well, if I'm the craziest, you must be crazy.
They playfully box around the stage.
Well, if that is true, I am no more crazy than you.
Come on, man. Float like a butterfly. Sting like a bee. Your hand can't hit, but your eyes can't see.
Hey, hold on, not so rough. You win.
I'm sorry, Carls. I didn't mean to get carried away. You all right?
I'm fine.
Ralph tells me you've gotten all my favorite foods cooked up.
After that speech you gave at the temple last night, I decided to go all out.
Thank you very kindly. I felt that speech went quite well myself. Carls, all I ask from you is that you don't serve me no cold food. I went to another preacher's house for dinner, and he served me ham and Kool-Aid. Cold ham at that. Are you sure my tie looks okay?
Perfect as always.
Thanks.
King, I almost forgot to tell you. I had Belafonte over for dinner.
Oh, how is Harry?
He's doing fine. I tried to get him to sing that banana song. You know, the one that goes, Dale, Dale, daylight come and we want to go home.
Oh, so now you got folks singing for their supper, huh?
I think I'll bypass your singing tonight.
Why? You saying I can't sing?
No, that's not what I'm saying. Besides, we've already got entertainment tonight.
Who? Sammy Davis Jr.?
No, not Sammy Davis. Jesse's band is playing at the meeting after dinner.
Oh, that's right. You know, Kyles, I had a run-in with young Jackson about this campaign.
I know. I heard. He's a real promising leader, King.
Don't you think I know? I was not ready for him that day. His timing was bad.
Hey, I understand. King, if you don't hurry up, your food will be all cold.
You know, I think my watch stopped.
King!
What?
Time to go.
Well, I'm ready. Let's go. Wait a minute.
What is it now?
King points towards same stage entrance.
I forgot all about him.
Ralph, aren't you ready yet?
Let's go.
Well, Kyles and I will be out here on the balcony.
That's a good idea, because I don't want to be in this room when he opens that door.
I'm the first one out.
I need to call the house and let them know we're coming. Oh, and keep that sliding door open, King, so some air can get in here.
Man, you're the craziest.
Walks to center.
Jesse, I want you to come with us to dinner this evening. And be sure to dress up a little tonight, Jesse. No blue jeans, all right?
Gunshot. King enters a pool of light. Becomes spirit of King.
taken by an assassin's bullet on the very day of April 4th, 1968. My personal struggle was ended. My dream became a nightmare. But at last, I was free. If any of you are around when I have to meet my day, tell them not to talk too long. I'd like somebody to mention that day that Martin Luther King Jr. tried to give his life serving others. I'd like somebody to say that day that Martin Luther King Jr. tried to love somebody. I won't have any money to leave behind. I won't have the fine and luxurious things of life to leave behind, but I just want to leave a committed life behind. A life of a man who struggled to make peace on earth. Then my living would not be in vain. If I can help somebody as I travel on, then my living shall not be in vain. Then my living shall not be in vain. Then my living shall not be in vain. If I can help somebody as I travel on, then my living shall not be in vain.
Projection of actress. She sings lines from Abraham Martin and Jones.
Has anybody here seen my old friend Martin? Can you tell me where he's gone? I thought I saw him walking over the fields. I just looked around and he was gone.
As actress hums a tune, projection slowly fades, lights fades black, as final projection fades in. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they are the children of God. End of play.
Soon and very soon, we are going to see the King. Soon and very soon, we are going to see the King. Soon and very soon, we are going to see the King. Hallelujah, hallelujah, we're going to see the King. No more crying there. We
Penix.
Yes.
Alice Joseph King.
Yes.
Lorenzo Vaughn.
Yes.
Dominique Sharpton.
Cindy Philmont.
Cindy
Cindy
Philmont.
Philmont.
Ashley Sharpton.
Ashley Sharpton.
Alvin Bonda.
Alvin Bonda. Enrico Powers. This is great. Thank you. Come in. We'll do some more stuff.
And don't forget the stage, man.
And don't forget, Chaplain Sandra Mitchell. We have Winston Gilchrist on the cameras. My wife was in the audience.
Amazon, tell them to go to Amazon and get a copy.
Amazon, get your copy. Peacemaker.
Amazon.
Amazon Peacemaker by Uncle Penix. And that's y'all show. Thank you for tuning in.
Yeah.
Email me, let me know how you liked it. Let me know if you want some more stage reading. And we got a lot of stuff doing. So this year's gonna be busy.
Yeah, we come to you.
Good night. I'll see you tomorrow.
Okay, so I need to take a hold on. The Amsterdam News wants some pictures, some stills. Ashley, can you get some pictures? Get some pictures.
I got a couple of pictures.
Okay, get some pictures. She wants some action shots for the paper that's coming out, okay?
Yes.
I sent her the press release and she told me to send her
I got some good action shots.
Action.
You got some good action
I
shots?
got some good live. If anybody
Hey, everybody
wants
just stand in tableau.
no, everybody stand up, we're gonna take a picture. Come on, Mr.
Say that, all stand up and take a picture. Come on down, Ashley. Oh, we get beside your sister, go.
I gotta grab my mask.
Let's find a space, COVID's distance. COVID distance, right? Find your own space, COVID distance. Come on here.
I got my wife ready. She said, I wanna read.
Yes.
You got it? You got it good, Chris?
Put your mask on, everybody.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good. No, just hang up.
That's the reality of theater in 2020. Put your mask on with your mask. Give her a mask, somebody. Give her a mask.
Who needs a mask?
Just give your guest.
Can you see us all?
Make sure you sing. Make sure everybody sings.
You can't tell. You can't tell.
Tell it in the eyes.
You can tell it the eyes will tell it. That's right about that. So the eyes will
Yeah.
tell it. You right about it. They even say
You did?
on the phone, you can hear people smiling on the phone. Listen, this
Excellent
is
job,
great.
everybody. Thank you so much.
Good job. This was great. So good. I'll see you tomorrow.
All right, I'll
Actually,
see you
y'all,
later.
stay good.
Black power was my